Shout out Big Steve.
Shout out Michael Bisbin. All right. What's up? What's up? Welcome back to Big Brain MMA. No UFC last week. I thought I'd do an octagon. That's what I felt like. Not many people watched it, so maybe that wasn't the right decision. But here we are, brought on a special guest, Lucrative MMA, for this week's UFC. How are you, sir?
Doing well, mate. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's been a while. It's been a while. I thought, I think it was time. Maybe could have done a better card, but it is what it is. You know, sometimes
I think the last time. Sorry, bro. Yeah, I think the last time we did something, it might have been the podcast we did in person. I don't remember if we did one live after that.
You could be right. You could be right. That was a popular show.
All
I remember from that show is that we were going head to head, and that you're really confident that Fizia was going to knock out Gamrot, but doesn't matter. Who's keeping receipts?
Apparently you are.
No, yeah. I'm talking shit.
Good bet, bro. Did you bet it, Gamrot?
Yeah, only a little bit because I got limited, and then I still actually have that limited account. Actually, believe it or not, I can win 500 on UFC. I can win 200 on regionals. But hey, that's something, right? That's still an active Bet365 account. So there you go. And
since then, Gamrot has looked kind of like shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's been getting away with it, man. Like someone was gonna win a split decision against him instead.
Yeah, I think I had Gamrot. I had RDA. Thought he was going to knock him out in round one, and then I didn't play hooker. I was like, I'm fed up of losing money on this against this guy, and I didn't play. It's just a stupid thing, you know. A lot of us do it. A lot of us gamblers do it. You fade. All right, fuck it, I'm done now, and then that's the one that hits. That's why I continued to fade him a lot, and I bet on Neil Magny. I was this close to doing that, not betting on him, and then I did it. So I got lucky on that one.
That's what I'm doing with someone on this card. We'll talk about him soon. My other guy was Pat Sabatini. Just kept winning, and I'm like, this guy. And then, of all people, the Leech knocks him out.
Who? Oh yeah, did you bet on the Leech? Oh, nice.
Yeah, Damon Jackson. Yeah, I did. I didn't see it going that way, but I did know he was chinny. So, all right, Riding High, what's up? This is one of my most loyal listeners. I don't know if he's in America, but if it is, it's 1 a.m. right now, so good on him. All right, shall we get started, my friend?
Yes, bro. Ready when you are.
Let's get started, and it's a Friday night for both of us, so I'm sure we've got some plans later on. Robelis, Despaigne, Austen Lane. Ooh, that rhymes. Yeah, so these first 4 fights.
That's what I said.
Did you? I didn't listen to your show, I promise.
It's funny.
There you go. Great minds. Yeah, I mean, these first 4 fights. This is the fight that I actually taped the most, ironically. And, you know, I didn't really get much out of the tape. It's pretty much left me with extremely volatile. I know, you know, I played Despaigne round 1 KO against that bum that they gave him in the UFC Parisian. I played the 60-second KO. All came through. And, you know, now the price is similar, round 1 KO. But I think he's fighting a better wrestler than Waldo Acosta, Austen Lane, at least more athletic. And I think Austen Lane is more aggressive on top. He's got a couple of ground and pound KO finishes. So from what I've seen from Robelis, man, he's a massive fish off his back. Waldo is some of the worst top game I've ever seen. And he's still almost KO'd him with ground and pound. So I don't know. This is volatility central. Can't play the under. Maybe just round 1. What's round 1 in general? We're obviously talking from betting perspective here. Now,
yeah, minus 115, but on some books it's minus 150.
Yeah, on Bet365, who generally has the best ones, it's pretty close to minus 200, which is, yeah.
Wow.
I just have, this fight has an aura of shithousery, you know, one of those heavyweight fights where something random happens. Maybe like the Denise, you know, makes it out of round 1 and then he gets knocked out early round 2, which I think is live. Robelis, I think he showed good cardio. What do you think against Waldo? Not bad. I think he was winning round 2 quite clearly up until he got taken down.
Yeah, he was dying on the stools in between 2 and 3. He had his head down and he was dying. As soon as the round started, he ran straight at him. So, yeah, he showed good cardio. I mean, from, you know, for his size, for his athleticism, for his physicality, for the fight going the completely wrong direction for him, which is a grappling fight, he showed good cardio. He could definitely get a late knockout in this one if he gets grappled for a round or 2.
All right, we agree on that one. Yeah, I think a lot of the narrative was he was going to fall apart, but yeah, I think he answered a lot of questions, and now we know that his ground game is trash too. Riding
Yeah,
high,
I personally think he's going to get a knockout in round 1, but
yeah,
I could see him getting a knockout in round 2 as well, so I wouldn't play round 1. But Austen Lane is super, super fragile, way more fragile than Waldo Cortez Acosta, although he is a little bit more proactive with the grappling. So, you know, I guess that levels it out a little bit. But I played Waldo by decision plus 900 last time. And the reason I did that is because I thought, I don't know if this Despaigne dude is, it's just a shot on a fight where I think that Waldo's probably going to grapple, even though he doesn't grapple a lot. It was just, you know, the guy always wins by decision anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, it was an easy shot at the number, but they ain't really giving us many numbers that are nice this time around. Honestly, like I get lane bets because he's gonna grapple probably, and obviously Robelis can't get out. But I'm pretty confident Robelis knocks him out in this fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm hovering around because I got burned by Denise round 1 KO, and it's one of those ones, you know, as you just mentioned, you know, we're going to jump off the ship, and then now round 1 looks, you know, good against a much more fragile guy. We'll see how we go. You can go close to pick him on some books, which has to have some value. Riding high is actually from New Zealand. Well, that makes sense why you're always tuning in, mate, no matter what time I go live. So there you go.
Whereabouts in New Zealand?
Parky's from Scotland and he's listening. Morning, Parky. One of the legends. Blood Force, what's up, lads? Some hot takes on UFC, we'll see. And PFL. So Elise, Ardelean versus Melissa Martinez. So I haven't taped Martinez since, you know, I watched her fight live against Elise Reed. I know Elise. I taped her, you know, for the Shanna Bannon fight. I was close to playing her, kind of short notice, an upper weight class made me pass. So I dodged the bullet there. And now she's, you know, full camp in her natural weight class. I understand the money coming in on her. You know, I saw someone that's a kind of greedy, will fight for your money. So I like to see that in girls. And she goes for takedowns. So I do remember Elise Reed, a lot of these names are similar, who we'll talk about next, took down Melissa Martinez down. So I get it, I understand it, but the line is kind of stopped where it's stopped now, which makes me think that might be it. I think Melissa should be the favorite, but maybe you can clue me in some more.
No, I can't clue you in. Can we just skip the next 3 fights, bro?
All right, let's do it. All right, Jessica Penne. No, she got the crap beat out of her by Baby Shark, and that was 2 years ago. So that's just bullish right there. But at least Reed at -200, man. Maybe Penne sub.
That's, plus 500. I bet on Penne sub plus 500.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And
KO, if you think she could ground and pound her, like Elise Reed loves getting ground and pound, it's plus 2,000 for the KO.
There you go. If only I saw Jessica Penne go for ground and pound ever. But yeah, I mean, she's getting dropped and submitted in the same fight by Lupita Godinez. Man, if you're getting submitted by Loma Lookboonmee, you probably have the best bet right there.
And do you know that after that fight, she fought Lupi after that fight, right? And the Lupi under 2.5 was like plus 165. And I bet it. That's crazy, isn't it? You got subbed by Loma Lookboonmee, and then the Lupi under 2.5 is plus money is crazy.
I bet Lupi inside the distance, and it was one of those ones where I barely taped. I just I did topology like I'm doing now, and I'm like, wow, Elise Reed is bad, man. There's got to be some value, but I couldn't go big because Lupita is like so untrustworthy with her finishing. Then just looked like Cain Velasquez, prime Cain Velasquez in that fight. But we can move on there. What's the under 2.5 in this fight? Sorry I know we're going to move on, but this
might be like plus 200 or something. I don't remember, but I mean, why would you not just play? It's plus 205, yeah. But why would you not just play Penn sub at 500? Do you think there's much KO upside for Reed or?
Yeah. I mean, I did not expect Baby Shark to run through Penne like that, and now she's another 2 years older, 42 years of age. Anything's possible.
Yeah, but that was a sub though, bro. So like, you know, with these women, they get subbed a lot, but they don't really get knocked out. And Reed ain't subbing no one. I don't know if Reed practiced submissions ever in her career. So you kind of have to say that Reed's getting a KO. And like, Penne's tough, man. She took a battering from Ducote. And even Baby Shark was kicking her to pieces and stuff. I think Penne's tough. She just can get subbed.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one that usually preaches this. It's plus 500 versus plus 200 for, you know, Jessica Penne sub under 2.5.
I
We'll
think
have to
it's
see.
way better. I'm gonna probably she gets a KO and I look stupid. I just think 500 versus 200 is way better. I can't see Penne sub being less than like 75, 80% of the ITD condition. Honestly, I think it's that high.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Alrighty. Joselyne Edwards, Tamires Vidal. I mean, this fight I mentioned on the early tease. Good luck playing Edwards Juice against the girl that's going to grapple her. I think people might have mistaken my sarcasm because her line is getting smashed. She's off coming off 2 back-to-back losses and a two split decision wins. And apparently that's enough to make her a massive favorite over Vidal. I assume you haven't taped this one? I've got nothing on this other than the dog.
I bet on Edwards.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I bet on Edwards around minus 220.
I thought you were joking when you texted me that.
No, I'm being serious. I bet on Edwards minus 220. And the reason I did that is because I think that on the feet I think Edwards can win on the feet. I don't think it's a blowout, but I think Edwards can win on the feet, and I think she can wash her on the mat. And she has shot takedowns before. She's done only grappling game plans before, you know, and she shoots a couple of times even in fights that she's striking. So I've got to assume that she takes down Vidal. I mean, Vidal, I've never seen Vidal stuff a takedown. I watched multiple fights of her. She never ever stuffed a takedown once ever. And she got taken down many, many times. Even on the regional scene against Ardelean. Obviously, Ardelean's solid, but even in the UFC, she's been taken down multiple times by fighters who are not good takedown artists. So I'll be surprised if Edwards doesn't shoot and get her down here. And that should swing the fight massively in her direction in a striking fight that's going to be close. But yeah.
Interesting. So, makes sense. I haven't looked into it. It's probably a fight that I'm not running to tape, let's be honest. No KSW yet, my friend, but I see people posting in the Discord, so it's giving me some FOMO. Do love me some KSW. Sando, hello. This is an Aussie and a legend. Riding high, lives down south, mate. Dooners. You know what that is?
Oh, Dooners. Yeah, he's smashing all the university girls. I need to go down there, mate.
Word is that Reed had COVID in the Loopy fight. I don't think Reed would have done much better if she didn't have COVID, to be honest. She's just not any good. 3 fights in a row. Yes, they will definitely all go to decision. Riding high. Anything else? Vidal, one of the worst to ever do it. But how can anyone lay minus 2xx? Well, Lucrative just told you, my friend. He gave you his reasons. Matheus from Brazil. Oh, here we go. Dogfather ruined the KSW line. It's all right, mate. Some of us have Bet365 that don't get ruined by $20. All right. Let's move on. We're getting to some good fights now. Brad Katona, Gene Matsumoto. So I take this, obviously, with the eyes on Brad Katona. A lot of people shit on him. And the man just knows how. I wrote down when he was debuting against Gibson, the man just knows how to win, right? He's got cardio, he's got durability. He's 14-3, a lot of wins, lost to some tough opponents. And yeah, just knows how to do it. Knows how to grind out minus EV decisions, even when he's losing. Knows how to come back. Gibson fight, extremely competitive, and he just dogged it out. Didn't even use any grappling. Broke his orbital bone. He's a tough guy. I like him. So yeah, Matsumoto, I still think there's a lot of glazing. You know, this is the next coming flyweight champion, but he's got a lot of weaknesses. We saw it against Dan Agueda. I think he's a bit lucky that Casey Tanner was sick on Contender Series. Came in compromised, but still won that fight dominantly. Yeah, I left thinking there's got to be some value on Brad, and obviously the line is moving. I have a feeling that maybe you played him because there was a lot of movement recently. But yeah, I don't know. Matsumoto has good cardio. Katona's like not the best wrestler. He's more of a grinder than anything. Doesn't have much power on the feet. I think his path is a little bit slim, so I haven't rushed to lock anything in. But the line is kind of getting away from me. But I don't mind. If he's going to win, then, you know, this has value all the way down to slight plus money, right? Because it would be like a pick'em fight.
Yeah.
And if he looks better than that, then there's even more value, right? So it's a dog or pass for me at the moment. Or maybe some Gene decision. What do you think?
I think if he wins, it's probably a decision. I mean, I think this fight is going to go to decision. I haven't bet Brad, but I am looking at betting Brad. I just want to wait and just Not rush into it. I'm trying to do a Big Steve impression. I'm just taking my time and put some bets in right at the last minute when they're walking out, because I don't really want to rush into a spot and then regret it later, which I've done a little bit this year, or at least regret it after the fights, you know. So I don't mind if I get a slightly worse line. I said this on my podcast earlier. If I get plus 160 instead of plus 180, I'm not going to fucking kill myself. You know, it's kind of like what you said. If there's value, there's going to be value at plus 160 as there is at plus 180. So, yeah, I don't really mind. I know it was a much bigger line early, but I can't even bet on those lines anyway. I see some on Bet MMA as guys are tracking plus 225 and stuff like that. I didn't actually know it went that high, but yeah, I think that it's going to be a good fight. I think on the feet it's kind of close, to be honest. I think Jean, you know, hits harder. I think he's a bit more dangerous, so a bit more athletic. I side with him there. Obviously, Brad can potentially get takedowns. The thing that I don't have a good read on in this fight, and why I haven't played Brad, is that I think he can get takedowns for sure. I don't know whether he can get top time. I don't have a read on it. I'm kind of like 50-50. Do you think he can get top time here?
No, see, that's the thing. Like, he's a good back taker, but he does fall off the back a lot. You see, like against Timarov, and he's obviously fought a lot of grinders, so it's kind of hard to hold those guys down. You know, Murad, Bazul, and even an Ultimate Fighter, but he will go for it proactively, and he will kind of just grind until nothing else happens in the round, and the judges just give it to him. But that obviously didn't work out against Armfield. You know, just got hit a couple times, and damage versus control swayed the round, but. I don't know. I don't think he'll be able to potentially hold Jean down. Now, Jean showed some good get-ups versus Aguero, but I will say Cody Haddon, our boy from Australia, you know, he showed how to properly like get up and not give up any top time against Aguero. You know, Jean showed to be a bit maybe not as good in that with that game potentially, because Aguero has really bad control, like really bad control. It's trash, awful. But yeah, maybe Brad can take his back. 30 seconds, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. He's definitely got the better jiu-jitsu. But yeah, I'm like you. You know, I'm still deciding. I'm not rushing. I need.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I feel like it's gonna be a close fight either way. You know, so even at plus 170, I don't necessarily think. I don't know if you have massive value, because the thing is, that's what I'm saying. If he doesn't get top time, if he doesn't get many back takes, then I think Matsumoto is going to do more damage on the feet, and that could easily, you know, sway the scorecards. But if he does get a back take, then that will sway the scorecards. So yeah, it's a bit tough. I kind of want to play Brad. I was just looking on Bet MMA now to see how many people are on Brad, because the line is moving a bit. And
it is. That plus 225 is true, because it was even on Bet365.
Okay.
I hesitated a bit, then it went to plus 200, and then today it's moved even more.
Yeah, so there's way more people on Matsumoto, which I like to see. I hate when I go on BetMMA.tips and then like everyone's on an underdog. I don't know if it's confirmation bias, but it seems more than likely like the public underdog a lot of times gets beat. So, you know, I know a lot of people have spoke about Brad this week. People have messaged me, yeah, Brad Katona. But, you know, it seems like a lot of people also betting Jean, and the line is moving down. You know, the worst thing is when a lot of people are speaking about betting one underdog and the line doesn't move down. Then that's when it's like, yeah. Honestly, that's like a data spot. Yeah, shout out to the dog file, but that's pure data. You just bet the other side. But in this spot, you know, the line's moving down. So I might end up on Brad. I don't know if it's going to be one of those minus EV wins for Jean like his last fight, but we'll see.
It's all right. We'll cook some more and decide closer to the date. I'm sure some people are patiently waiting to hit the best Jean line as well, so it might come back down again, go back the other way. All right, Matheus, Nicolau, Almabayev, really high level fight. Hopefully a changing of the guard, and Matheus drops a bit closer out of the ranking. Is good, but probably should be ranked. But yeah, I think don't really like his style, to be honest. It's hard to fade this guy. I know a couple of people have tried to fade him. I know people have faded him against CJ and Jose Johnson, and I don't know about that. I think they've watched this split decision against Zach Makovsky, and they're just holding on to that and aggressively try and fade him. But I mean, the guy, anyone that can shoot that many takedowns and has that kind of cardio, and also he has serviceable enough striking to keep it competitive, right? He's not a fish out of water on the feet. I think he's a hard guy to beat. So I haven't. I kind of went to tape it when the line spiked. It jumped up to $1.60, 10 cents better, and then straight away someone bet it down to minus 200 again. So Asu's kind of staying there. I know there's a whole narrative that Nicolau has good takedown defense. You know, seen it against Elliott. I remember taping him for the Elliott fight. It's just there's not much footage of his takedown defense. Like he seems very good, very hard to hold down, very good hips. Obviously has good jiu-jitsu, good front chokes. And we haven't seen much since, you know, Perez, Royval, Schnell, not much of his takedown defense. It's one of those ones where you kind of have to fill in the blanks, but that's the main reason why I'm kind of not rushing to Asu Almabayev, you know, minus 200. If I'm going to do that, it's going to be against a bum like CJ or Jose Johnson that can't stuff a takedown at all. I think here on Neds, I laddered up Asu and 2 takedowns round 1, and then 1 takedown round 2, and then 1 takedown round 3. They were just paying astronomical numbers because I went deep tape and I just saw, yeah, he's not going to get submitted. So therefore, it's guaranteed to be 1 takedown per round. But yeah, it's a bit different here. Like I think Nicolau's a bit better than that, but he has that chin issue, right? He has that chin issue. When he fought Dustin Ortiz, we could have seen some takedown defense, but he just got knocked out by a wrestler with not the greatest striking ASAP. So could we see that again? What do you think?
Yeah, I bet Asu KO at plus 800. I just feel like, why not? You know, I mean, the guy, you know, anytime you have a bad chin at flyweight, it's red flag, obviously, because those motherfuckers don't hit hard. So if we know you have a bad chin, it means you must have a really bad chin, because the people that are showing that you have a bad chin probably don't hit that hard. I mean, Perez is not this crazy knockout artist. Brandon Royval does not KO anyone. I mean, he's got pillow fists. He's known to land 300 strikes in a fight because he can't knock anyone out. So, you know, even his last 2 knockouts, that's not really a good look. And you can say they're picture perfect punches, whatever. At the end of the day, you take a lot of shots in MMA. So if you're getting knocked out like that at flyweight, it's not a good look. I played Asu KO. I don't think he's going to KO him. Probably won't. But anyway, I just played it at plus 800. This seems like an offline. I personally think he's going to win also. Asu, I mean, career trajectory, mindset. I spoke about a lot of this stuff in my own podcast. I don't really want to repeat myself too much, but basically, I think hype is capped in too much to MMA lines, but what I think is not capped in is career trajectory, mindset. You know, if a fighter's been at the top and now they have to fake these up and coming prospects, a lot of time they don't do that well. A lot of these things where it's kind of hard to objectively know if it's going to affect the fight or not. Sometimes they're not capped in at all. And it seems like a change in the guard spot. At the end of the day, it's a big step up for Asu. So it could be not a change in the guard, and it could just be Nicolau showing that he's a level above. But I think Asu's got better in his tape that I've watched. You know, some regional scene versus UFC seems a little bit better in the UFC. And you could say that he's fighting shit fighters in the UFC, and he is, but I don't think he was fighting the best on the regional scene either. And then also, I just think technically his style in general, he just looks a little bit faster, looks a little bit better, looks a little bit smarter in the UFC. So I do think he's getting better, and he's won 20 fights for a reason at the end of the day. You know, I mean, he's a hard fighter to deal with. And at the end of the day, you know, Nicolau's best performance in this fight is still going to be a close fight. I don't think Nicolau can like wash him like completely, unless he knocks him out or something. You know, it's probably going to be a fight where he's defending the takedowns and he's just staying on the outside and he's countering on the feet, and he just wins kind of cleanly with counters, maybe 30-27. But even in those 30-27 rounds, I don't think it's going to be, oh yeah, pure domination by Nicolau. It's just not his style, right? So even that worst case scenario for Asu, I still think is a close fight. Best case scenario, he can knock him out. Second best case scenario, they can be close rounds on the feet and he just gets some grappling going, chain wrestles. Maybe he doesn't even get him down, but he's just holding him back against the cage, kneeing him a couple of times and wins on control time. So I think that's Asu's upside there. I could be completely wrong, and it could just be another one of the Tyra versus Royval fights, and I bet on Tyra there, and that was a shit bet by me. And it just seemed that in that fight, it was just Tyra took too much of a big step up in competition. And it might be that in this fight, but outside of that, I don't think I'll be wrong. So yeah, I think Asu's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, Tyra mauled him in 2 separate rounds, and old mate Weasel won, you know, squeezed out 1 and 5. And sure, he did a bit better in round 3, but Yeah, that's the game, I guess. Mr. Sando is with you on Joselyne minus 220. Vidal not UFC level, just an angry little Brazilian swinging big hooks. Well,
sharp, mate. Look, the line's gone. The line's gone. You can't just blame it on me being the tipster, man. I know that's what you want to say, but bruv, actually the line ain't even that gone. I'm talking shit.
No one's blaming you, mate. It's all right. I'm not feeling the FOMO. I'll be honest. I don't feel like I missed out on that one.
No, what I'm saying
maybe
is
after tape I will.
Instant value right there, but we'll see how it plays out.
So where is he? Katona's moved a lot, man. It's moved another 20 cents on fight odds.
What's the line? 168 on bowl. I always check bowl because like the other bookies oftentimes move with them. So, you know, if I can catch them, then I could just smash it on other bookies.
Yeah, I mean, bowl is like the most volatile as well, in my opinion. Whereas,
it changes like that. But once it's pinged back and forth a bit, it usually stays for a bit, and then the other bookies usually follow bowl.
Sometimes it goes and then it comes back, and then it just like before any other book can even follow them, because there's like Bet365, like it will stay the same price. And bowl will go up in 30 cents, down 30 cents, and it will just Bet365 hasn't even moved. It's been the same for days. But that's good sometimes, you know. You can just take your time, not panic, not feel FOMO from the line just jumping up like stocks. Alrighty. Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. So some money coming in on Elkins. Pineda's been more of a favorite. I get it. Personally, not for me. I think Pineda's a really high-level grappler. I think we've seen it in his fights. I mean, he grappled Herbert Burns, you know, before he went on his losing streak, got taken down and just reversed him and mauled him, crucifixed him on the ground, pounded him out. Showed really good back control there. You know, that was when Herbert Burns was submitting, you know, everyone, taking him down, taking their back, black belts. What was that black belt that he ran through? Let me just have a look.
Who?
Evan Dunham, Herbert Burns. Oh. Like, I bet him round one sub, but I was more of a casual back then, 4 years ago. I was just like, today I probably would have overthunk that. I would have thought Evan Dunham is a really good black belt. No way he subs him, and then 1 minute, 20 seconds. And yeah, Pineda was fine. Had his back taken twice. He was on short notice too. And yeah, just out-grappled Herbert Burns. So he seems very physical. You know, he out-grappled Tucker Lutz. He actually finished him, which, you know, Pat Sabatini couldn't do. Almost submitted Alex Caceres, I think, on another day. Alex Caceres taps to that armbar. Really quick, came out of nowhere. But he's good. He's just good. The main thing is he's physical and he has power. So even though Elkins is good, you know, a lot of people trying to fade him with TJ Brown, and I understand because he's so washed. But when I went deep on tape, I'm like, wow, TJ Brown is so bad, man. This guy loves giving up his back. And when I watched that fight, it was competitive. It was actually competitive. Sure, Elkins might have been up 2-0 or maybe even 1-1 going to the third, but it's mainly because TJ Brown was doing well, and then he would do some boneheaded decision and give up his back, which he does in every single UFC fight. And eventually, just the third time Elkins got his back, he just kind of gave up and tapped. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to have it that easy against Pineda. Pineda seems very educated and obviously has that physicality. Won round 3 against Nathaniel Wood. Who would have thought? So he's kind of like, you know, he gasses out quickly in round 2, and then round 3 he kind of has a second wind. We've seen it, you know, a couple of times now. So hasn't popped since. So maybe he's found the right level of juice. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think that Elkins, you know, is going to be, unless he has a physicality advantage, which he rarely has. You know, he had it against Tristan Connolly, who has since been cut, and, you know, knocked out by Cub Swanson. You know, I think I'm not rushing to play Elkins. I think Elkins in this one is going to have to be a live bet. At Pick'em, I don't really see much value other than actually Pineda. I think I'd rather play Pineda now that it's come down to Pick'em. I think he has all the finishing upside. You know, dare I say, submission upside, right? I know Elkins is almost impossible to sub, but I think Pineda's guillotine is quite good. What do you think?
Yeah, so, you know, when I look at this fight, it seems like the perfect fight for Darren Elkins outside of round 1. But the round 1 could be so fucking hellacious that round 2 and round 3 might not matter because he might get finished in round 1, or might not matter because he's just so beat up. So I'm just passing, man. Like, I don't need to get involved in this fight. I wanted to play Elkins. At one point, I thought Elkins' decision at plus 400 was kind of off. I still kind of do think it's offline because Pineda's fragile as fuck. He gets cut, he gets hurt, he gets wobbled, he gets rocked, but he doesn't get finished that often. He's fucking tough, but he's just fragile. He just gets hurt. But he sticks tough. So I thought, Elkins can grind him out. Round 2, round 3. I mean, if it gets into round 3, I don't think anyone's going to be loving their bet on Pineda. I think it's almost impossible. There's a reason why it got into round 3 is because Elkins is still alive. And if he's still alive, for a fact he's shooting takedowns, for a fact he's grinding. He ain't going to give up, right? Even that, every fight he's been battered and he ain't giving up at the end. Like Jonathan Pierce fight, Nate Landwehr fight, like the guy just grinds through. So obviously, back in the day, who was that geezer? Head kicked and then roared. That was like a legendary comeback.
Mirsad Bektic. That was a great comeback.
Bektic. The biggest what if. Bektic looked amazing and he just lost a lot of fights. But, even going back to those days, I still feel like the guy's got that in him. That never goes. Now, obviously, the chin's might have gone. I don't really know. But I'm just passing on the fight, bro. I don't have too much to say about it. I feel like you can kind of make a case for almost any angle on this fight. Pineda round 1. Elkins decision, Elkins to win in round 2 or 3, the under, the over because you think Elkins is tough, but also Pineda's not going to gas, and Pineda doesn't have much finishing upside after 7.5 minutes. Like, you could literally sit here and give me any prediction, and I'm not going to maybe massively argue against you. So, I mean, in those type of fights, I just have to pass. Maybe I don't have a good read on it. I don't know, but that's what I think.
Indeed, that's how I feel. That's how I feel, but I'm going to go deep because I have a lean to the over. And Parky's asking, what are your thoughts on the under? I'm not really interested in minus 200 just because I feel it's a trap. If Pineda doesn't finish him in round 1, I think we get a back and forth grapple fight where Pineda is good enough to survive and then it goes over. So, yeah, I mean, the under 1.5 is probably the way to go. But I feel like it so strongly correlates with Daniel Pineda. Like, who has Darren Elkins finished under 1.5? I mean, if you couldn't finish TJ Brown, who's both chinny and liable to be subbed, then I don't think so. Even Derek Minner made it over 1.5. It's all the traditional gassy kind of finishes that Darren Elkins needs. So, yeah, actually not interested in any unders now that you mention it. It just depends. If I go deeper and I really, really like Pineda finish, then I might go with the under 1.5 as kind of like a safer alternative because, just smart betting, I guess. Uncle Weezy, the fellas, let's get this money. Uncle Weezy, what is it? 2 a.m., mate? Thanks for listening over there in America. It's crazy. He bet the over. There we go. We have the sharps and the non-sharps agreeing with us.
Do you think there's any like, would you rather play over 2.5 plus 135 or Elkins decision plus 400?
Probably the over 2.5. Like, that just feels safer to me. Because I mean, if it's pick 'em, that means either guy can win a decision, right?
I would favor Elkins. I don't want to say heavily because I think Pineda might out damage him. I would favor Elkins quite solidly on the decision.
You got to remember, he was getting rinsed by Derek Minner in the grappling, like till he gassed. So I can even in the grappling, I can see Pineda rinsing him. And then his Jonathan Pierce fight didn't age very well, right? Jonathan Pierce, 3-fight losing streak now. Yeah. And he's always been showing chinks in. He's always been showing chinks in the armor. Like, I've been waiting for the time to fade him, and now the guy's kind of fallen apart. So the only guy he really mauled was, Darren Elkins, and he could have finished him in round 2 there. But yeah, I think he's so unphysical, Elkins. He needs to Homer Simpson you, and I think Pineda will be ragdolling him for about 10 minutes before he gasses.
Pineda gas is bad though, bro.
It does, but not with grappling. Grappling's like his thing,
He just stays tough, but he don't really have much. Like, he has a couple of explosions after 7 minutes, and outside of that, he don't really have. Elkins doesn't gas. He just keeps going and going and going and going and going. I have to favor Elkins's cardio over Pineda's, explosion every now and then.
There you go. Wheezy sees the alternative angle. Yeah, I get it. I mean, yeah, fair enough. I just feel like, Elkins, he was a massive dog to TJ, and now it's, pick him. I think we can benefit from this recency bias. I feel like all dudes less finishing upside. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah. Pineda retiring if he loses. I will say, and then we can move on. Pineda usually gets hurt by people. Gets hurt by Caceres, gets hurt by Nathaniel Wood, and then he comes back. So Andrew Feely as well. I don't think Elkins will be able to bust the grape. Alrighty. Jake Hadley versus Cameron Smotherman. So I take this fight thinking, let's see if there's any value in Cameron, because Jake Hadley's minus 200. I said I would pass because Cameron, technically gets grappled. Usually he's been knocked out. He's been dropped. Hadley has power. Probably looks better at bantamweight. Probably the weight class for him. And then I also saw that he flew over to Saudi Arabia to corner someone next week, I think. And then flew back out to Vegas when he got the short notice call. So the man has gone there and back, and he's only starting to cut weight, yesterday or the day before. So, and it's in his natural weight class, bantamweight. They're not giving him like featherweight to make it easier for him. So I don't know if he's in shape. I don't know what, but now I see that Jake Hadley's $1.20 favorite, and he just keeps on going. And now it's like, you always got to fade this guy as a massive favorite, unless he's fighting Malcolm Gordon, right? Yeah, he's always, quite hittable, getting dropped, almost knocked out by freaking Giles Johnson. But the whole short notice aspect is makes me not want to donate, not throw my money away. What do you think?
I didn't take this one, but obviously, I looked at Hadley, not Cameron. Obviously, I know them both. I think Hadley can win on the feet or on the ground. I think he should deserve big favorite, short notice, all of that stuff. What does a Smotherman win look like? Like a close striking fight or something? I don't even know, man.
Yeah, he can probably drop him. He's the better boxer. I don't know. Maybe even a KO. Who knows? Probably not.
Yeah, Hadley seems tough, man. I know he's. Has he even been dropped? No, I don't think he's been.
Yeah, dropped. He was dropped twice in round 2 by Charles Johnson, and that second right hand, he had him. He fell back quite hard, actually.
True.
But it's more so, when Cody Durden's busting him up, he's kind of like mentally looks like he doesn't want any more of it. When he was busted up. But he's such an unpredictable. Yeah, he's such an unpredictable fighter. Then he comes out and just turns it on against Callum Lauren.
Yeah, but like even in his losses have been 50-50 fights, bro. Like very close fights. Charles Johnson was super close.
Yeah.
Nascimento was like Nascimento was a fucking beast, and that was not the worst showing of all time. He just got grappled.
It was a 30-27.
Yeah, that's the one where he's like that's his only real bad loss in my opinion. But even that, like, he's a beast, bro. And Nascimento's finishing everyone, and he didn't finish him. He didn't even come close to it. Really.
Yeah, I think he's a good grappler. I don't think we're ever going to see him subbed. For example.
Durden's fucking solid as well. And that was a 50-50 fight. So, I don't know. I think he's got him covered everywhere. But like I said, I didn't even watch Cameron's tape, although I know him from Contenders and that.
Yeah, he's just a technical fury boxer that doesn't really separate and always had issues with striking defense and takedowns. So, it makes sense why people are hammering Hadley, just not for me. Yeah, I agree. I think he benefits from going up in weight class. The man was cutting so much weight. Same as someone else we'll talk about. Right? All right. Sumudaerji versus Charles Johnson. We just spoke about Charles Johnson. This man's been on a heater. I loved fading him when he was everyone's favorite underdog, and now jumping on him recently. I didn't jump on against Azat, but I bet him against Hadley, and I bet him against Joshua Van. And yeah, good on him. I've got nothing against him. I'm glad that he's turned it around. I love it when fighters that are about to be cut or doing really bad turn it around. But it feels like they kind of switched roles in terms of the lines. Sumudaerji always massive favorite, and Charles Johnson always an underdog, small margins underdog, and now Sumudaerji is an underdog, and Charles Johnson a decent sized favorite against the guy that I would say is the much more dynamic striker than him. I guess 2 losses back to back. That losing to Matt Schnell, it's just not a very bullish look. Probably the only guy to lose to Matt Schnell in last 6 fights, and Tyson Nam. And then, just getting run through by Tim Elliott like that, and also getting hurt on the feet. I don't know, it just kind of seems a bit washed. Ever since he came back against Adashev, with those double knee pads, wrestling, it seems like everyone that wrestles, goes to Dagestan and wrestles, never comes back the same. We saw Brandon in PFL, when he lost to Kabulive, he came back with 2 knee pads, and then he always I went to wrestle in Russia, and it was just that season, he was awful. seems to be happening to Sumudaerji and all these knee pad guys. But yeah, I see this kind of being competitive on the feet. As I said, Sumudaerji, much better striker. But yeah, I can't get to it. I know some people that locked him in. Can't get to it with that striking. I think Johnson can keep it competitive, but he's always got that takedown upside. And he showed it against, Maxim. He showed it against everyone. He tried to take Joshua Van down in the first, so he'll go for it. He'll go for it against better grapplers, guys with better takedown defense. So why wouldn't he go for it against Sumudaerji, who has a clear weakness on the ground, Submission seems popular. It's one of those ones where I don't want to lock it in just for the fact that it's popular amongst Twitter. But yeah, it doesn't mean it's not going to hit, right? Sometimes the most obvious thing happens. But all in all, from a money line perspective, I'm passing. I might lie bet Charles Johnson when he's kind of thrown away round one like he's known to do. What do you think?
Yeah, going to your point of sometimes the most obvious thing happens. Did you see how many people were on Sabatini's submission on Bet MMA last week?
Don't get me started, man. I don't know why I didn't lock that in. I just forgot about it and I just hated myself.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Jewish Better sent me it. It was
a million.
I'll send you the photo of it right now on Telegram so you can see. But like literally the entire Bet MMA, it was just it went over like 2 screens. Submission. I thought I had a solid read. I thought I had a not sneaky read, but like I didn't think the entire world would be on it. But everyone was on it. I just sent you on Telegram. No, it's quite funny. And then, subbed him in, a minute or something. It looked like one of the best bets of all time. So, yeah, sometimes the obvious thing does happen. I do think Charles Johnson has a good chance to submit him here. I think a good way to target this is Sumudaerji moneyline. I don't understand how Charles Johnson can cover without grappling. Sumudaerji is like plus 190. Obviously, it's probably moved a bit, but plus 190. And then the under a fight doesn't go to decision. I said that in my chat. Dogfather said that as well. And if you are playing the under, it might be better to do fight doesn't go to decision because he said, Charles Johnson always has a good round 3, and that's true. And also, like, if Charles is winning inside the distance, it's potentially Sue's getting a bit tired. He's grappling him a little bit. He's wearing him out. So I think fight doesn't go to decision is better than the under 2.5 because usually I just go for the unders, but I think, doesn't go is a little bit better. So I think those 2 ways are good to target. Just play the plus money line, plus money total, because at the end of the day, Sumudaerji on the money line, in my opinion, is the side because he's a better striker. He's very good at suppressing volume on the feet. He doesn't get hit clean that much. And the thing is, Charles Johnson will throw a lot of shots, but he's not the best striker, like technically. If you put him in there in a Muay Thai fight, if you put him there in like a kickboxing fight, Dutch kickboxing fight, he's going to get fucked up. You put him there in a fight where someone can use their range, he's going to get fucked up. He's good because he just spams volume. And if you come close to him, you're going to give him the fight that he wants, like Joshua Van. He was able to land everything because he spammed volume. He is long and rangy, so he can, have some rangy shots. Like he throws kicks as well. But for the most part, I think Sue's style on the feet he's going to be able to outclass Johnson, at least early. I think he's going to be able to bounce in and out of range, land long shots, etc., etc. On the feet, I just think he's a cleaner, better striker. I think Johnson has a better chin, so I do think that it's possible Sumudaerji's cleaning him up on the feet and he gets wobbled, and then it's like a 50-50 round. So I'm not going to say that it's impossible Charles wins on the feet. Charles throws more. He probably hits, I'm not going to say he hits harder, but he's got a better chin, so it's probably going to look like he hits harder. That's something else, having a good chin. No one really speaks about that, but something that is really important about having a good chin is that it makes you look like you hit harder. It makes you look like you're doing more damage, even though you're not. I've seen fighters where they are taking immense punishment, but their chin is so good that it doesn't even look like they're taking any punishment. Yudong Song is the type of fighter like that. Yudong Song, you can't beat him on the feet because, like, even if you punch him with a knockout blow, his head doesn't move. So the judges don't even really see it that much. Whereas when he hits you, unless you have a Yudong chin, you'll get him rocked. So I could see a world in which Charles wins striking here just because of the durability. But the durability is not that different. At the end of the day, Charles been dropped by that Kazakh wrestler. So I definitely think he can get hurt on the feet. And then in the grappling is where Charles can fully dominate, right? If Charles does grapple, Six Hound is saying here, if Charles does grapple, Sumudaerji is Elise Reed on the mat. Like they are the bottom of the barrel, like terrible. And they're both on the same card. So I could see a world in which Charles Johnson just literally batters him to a pulp in round 1, round 2 on the ground. But the guy don't shoot that often. He's a wild card in when he will shoot or not. There's fights that he obviously should shoot, and he doesn't. Like Joshua Van. I think he shot 1 or 2 takedowns in the Joshua Van and Jake Hadley fight combined. They both went into round 3. Both fighters have lost via grappling before. Basically, both fighters have only lost via grappling before. And he doesn't even shoot more than 2 takedowns. It's like, we can't guarantee he's going to shoot here. And if he doesn't shoot, Sumudaerji money line is 100% value. And if he does shoot, then in my opinion, the doesn't go to decision is value. And even if he doesn't shoot, on the feet, they probably rock each other. So that also could be value there. So yeah, I think both plus money totals and money line is the way to play it.
Do you give Sumudaerji any finish upside? Because the total, I think Charles Johnson has an elite chin and elite submission defense. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I just feel like he's been cracked a lot. He's been wobbled a couple of times. Sumudaerji hits hard. I think he's a sniper. You know, I thought Joshua Van had an elite chin, and I definitely didn't think Charles Johnson would be the one to knock him out. Charles Johnson, in my opinion, don't have much KO upside at all. In that fight, that's honestly like, and people might say, oh, you know, hindsight, no, but I honestly think that might be one of the craziest outcomes of the year. Charles Johnson KO over Joshua Van. Pre-fight, what I thought, right? So, I don't know, man. Sumudaerji's fucking dangerous guy, so I got to give him some KO upside, especially since I see Charles dropped before in the UFC.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the only reason I faded Van in that fight was because of how hittable he was. He was going to get himself knocked out one day. But yeah, Charles is pretty funny. I will say Charles seems to be one of the main things he's addressed. He seems to be sitting down on his punches now. So the way he dropped Hadley and Van, he actually sat down and threw 100%. Whereas before, he's just like touching, like poking at people. And it's like, just sit on your punches, man. Like, he fights like a girl. But he's addressed that. So maybe he has power. Who knows? Maybe all he needed to do was commit. Uncle Easy, seeing Johnson KO was wild. Yeah, it was wild. There's a funny story which people in my Discord won't find funny. I actually played the money line, and then I had cold feet, and I tipped out decision in the Discord. So, everyone who tailed me in the Discord lost, but I was just over the moon that my money line won with a random as CJ KO. So yeah, anything can happen in MMA. Just like you, I didn't really give Johnson much of a KO upside. Alrighty, we're nearing the end. We were doing all right, but now we slew down a little bit. Rob Font versus Carla Phillips. Yeah, I mean, I see what they're doing here. Washed old man versus Carla Phillips, upwards trajectory. I wasn't going to spend too much time on this fight, and then I just kind of saw Carla Phillips wobble Pedro Munoz, and then I went through most of his fights, and he's kind of wobbling everyone. So I don't mind this under. I don't mind this under just because, you know, at some point, Rob Font, who gets wobbled and dropped in every single fight, he has to be knocked out. Surely, it's happening. And could this be the fight at 37 years of age? Again, Carla Phillips hurts everyone. Like, Pedro Munoz is durable, right? He dropped Mahoney Barcelos, maybe not as durable. He hit Song Yadong with a clean head kick. But let's be honest, that could be the one that actually knocked out Rob Font if he hit something like that.
100%.
So yeah, even went back to the Katona fight. Katona beat this man, by the way. So on Ultimate Fighter, so maybe you can beat Matsumoto too. Yeah, that's the only thing I like, and you know, I don't give Rob Font much of finishing upside, even though he does crack. Again, he knocked out Hernandez, which is kind of feels like the whole Joshua Van Charles Johnson fight. I didn't really think he could knock out Hernandez, but he did. So maybe that's safer to play the under there, but yeah, Carla Phillips is good everywhere, man. His KO is $6 plus 500. Maybe that is something you play instead, but I don't know. Maybe a parlay piece. He's just good everywhere. He's got takedowns. Rob Font can't even stop a takedown. Good jiu-jitsu. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the only way Rob Font wins is if Kyler just gasses him out like a 10-8 round, first round. Like, yeah. Rob Font is, you know, viable to these 10-8s these days. Like what happened against Haulian Paiva. And then luckily some judges didn't score it a 10-8, even though it should have been, because Paiva was on death's door. And then he just squeaks out the next 2 rounds because Phillips is gassed out. Because let's not forget, you know, Phillips has gassed out multiple times in his career. He gassed out badly against Victor Henry on the regional scene. He gassed out badly against Haulian Paiva. And there's a couple of other round 3s, maybe 1 or 2 in the UFC where he's gassed out as well. Pedro Munoz, he looked good in round 3 there. But at the end of the day, Rob Font pushes a much heavier pace than Pedro Munoz. So I'm just making a case for Rob Font, but I think he's going to get his ass whooped, to be honest, man. I think he's going to get smashed. I think there's a changing of the guard. I mean, what has Rob Font done recently? Nothing. I mean, he knocked out Adrian Yanez, which was another crazy KO. I honestly didn't expect that. It was kind of like the CJ Van one, because I thought Yanez was super durable before that. But yeah, I think outside of, Phillips gassing out, he's going to style on him. And how you mentioned about the head kick on Yadong Song, that was super clean. That definitely puts Rob Font to sleep, even though apparently he's just getting battered and not sleeping lately. But it's not going to happen forever, right? It seems like a jab wobbles him. Figueiredo was wobbling with jabs, so head kick from Kyle is definitely putting him down. But that's like what I was saying in the last fight. If you got an elite chin, you can win rounds even if you take knockout blows. Like Yadong Song versus Kyle Phillips, he took a knockout blow to the head, and judges probably didn't even really even address that too much, because he just walked straight through it and they carried on throwing down straight away. So that's the importance of an elite chin. And going on to Rob Font, the guy's got a bad chin, and so even if he gets jabbed, which is the opposite of a head kick, he might still lose the fight just on the jab. So I mean, chins are so important in MMA, not just to get finished, but just for optics of the judges. And Rob Font has zero chin these days. He's got elite recoverability, I will say that, and he's fucking tough, and his mindset and his will to win is still there. But, when your chin starts failing you multiple times at bantamweight as well, it's probably a sign that you're going to get finished soon. So I'm on the under, plus 200. Maybe it's a sucker move, because every under has been a sucker move recently on Rob Font, but I don't really see how you can keep lining it plus 200 against these dynamic fighters who do have finishing upside. I know Phillips has gone to a decision a lot of times in his career, but a lot of times in the UFC. But yeah, I think this is the time he gets finished. And if he doesn't, like I said, there is a chance that Rob Font finishes a gassed Phillips late. So, I also think there is some Font finishing upside in here as well. He still hits hard at the end of the day, going off Adrian Yanez only 1 or 2 years ago. So I'm on the under. I think Phillips is probably the side, even at minus 400. And yeah.
That makes sense. I will say this was one of those ones that the more I taped, the more I talked myself out of it. But I might just have to play the KO anyway. Nothing worse than bailing on an initial lean and then he hits, and then you're like, why did I talk myself out of it? So it's got to be value.
It's massive number. You don't have to put a lot on it as well, which is good with those ones. You just chuck a little bit and you still win a good amount.
Or if you want to be greedy, I mean, the under 1.5, can we see a knockout after? Like generally, Phillips, as you said, he gasses. Doesn't really get many knockdowns after round 2 or even halfway after round 2. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Round 1 KO. Fuck it. Just go YOLO. Round 1 KO.
$12. Yeah, that's what we narrowed it down to.
Nice.
$12. Can he survive what Piver survived? I don't think so, man. Piver's durable too, right? Quite durable.
Yeah, solid. I might chuck a quarter unit on that plus 1100. That ain't bad.
Yeah, you got to do it, man. You got literally everyone that he drops, it's round 1. So
yeah,
I mean,
true.
Too obvious to pass up on. Makes up for having no bets. There's your bet live on air. The collaboration, the big lucrative Steve. Let's go with that. Lucrative Steve collaboration.
Easy, bro. Are you lucrative?
I'm pretty lucrative, I would say. I think my bets are more lucrative than some of the others on Twitter.
I'm only fucking with you.
Yeah, I know. You won't see me parlaying fight starts round 3 $1.10 with another fight starts round 3 $1.15. That's for sure. Alrighty. Best fight on the card, main event. People are split. A lot of money on Pereira. First, there's a lot of money on Hernandez, so I just kept waiting. And then a lot of money on Pereira. So now I'm definitely waiting because I would have liked a better line. People know me. I like to fade Fluffy. I have to keep doing it. It's like a Sabatini to me. I see the chinks in his armor. Obviously, everyone's seen him get knocked out and hurt. More to the body rather than the head, like Sabatini. But now he's fighting a guy that probably one of the worst matchups for him, at least for a round and a half, right? I think, he's a black belt. He's so physical. He's strong. Sure, he's been taken down before. I will say his takedown defense looks quite solid at welterweight, at least from what we've seen. I might take some spare time and look into his old middleweight fights on the regionals. I like to do that sometimes. Mix it up from the UFC fights that I've seen a million times. And yeah, just rips the body. Obviously hits much harder at middleweight. right? Maybe just draining himself too much. He couldn't KO a bunch of really washed, chinny dudes at welterweight, but he's made that up with 3 back-to-back KOs. See, people are shitting on his level of competition. I don't think Fluffy's much better. You know, Marc-Andre Barriault, and, you know, say what you will about Edmund. He never should have been ranked, and he's on a steady decline. Might not even be in the UFC in a couple of fights. Yeah, I mean, Kopylov was good, was winning until he wasn't. Kopylov always had issues with the ground game. I just think, yeah, Josh Fremd, just a good mix of matchups for him to kind of beat, or good stylistic matchup, or people that he can Homer Simpson and break. And I guess Pereira's another guy you can do that to, right? A guy that we don't know how he's going to look at middleweight. You have to assume he'll have better cardio. I mean, you have to have better cardio if you're not cutting extra 15 pounds. Like, surely you got to assume it. We've already seen that he might potentially have better power. How many people have knocked out Petrosky in the UFC? I mean, Malkoon's hip, and that's about it. And Michel Pereira. And, yeah, I mean, he's not also dropped, what's his name? Ilo Peteria, an ex-light heavyweight, extremely durable, right? A lot of people on the over against Cesar Almeida because of his durability. Before Bresky, good boxer, he's knocked out a bunch of dudes in round 1 in Octagon, went to a decision. So, extremely durable guy in Ilo Peteria, and then he just drops him instantly. So, yeah, and plus he has that submission upside. You know, Fluffy is a good grappler. Sure, he didn't get submitted by Rodolfo, but submitted by Maluco Perez, of all people. What about Cole? The pillow fighting champion of the world. So, don't disrespect Maluco Perez. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I haven't played the money line because it just feels like there's smarter ways to play Michel Pereira. Something inside me still says that I might look like an idiot. Like, maybe he goes out there. He's won round 3s before, right? He's won round 3s while completely gassed against good fighters like Chaos Williams, for example. And sure, he lost to Ponzinibbio, but Ponzinibbio generally really good round 3. So maybe he can win round 3 against Hernandez and then get survive, to rounds 4 and 5. Maybe get a 10-8. But Hernandez, not physical and not really a good wrestler. I'll go down on my shield with that. The guy fails about 7 takedowns before he starts hitting him in round 2. So I think he's more so the cardio. And yeah, the under, I'm surprised the under 2.5 isn't better. But when I looked into it, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, kind of correlates with Pereira. Can Hernandez finish him in under 2.5? Like, I feel like he needs a lot of top time. He needs to hit that guillotine. Maybe he can have some ground and pound against Pereira. Hasn't been submitted much. He seems to show good educational defense. We've seen him completely gassed against Tristan Connolly and span out of those guillotines quite nicely, you know. So, a bunch of questions up in the air. Uncle Weezy thinks Pereira lost round 3 to Nico Price, was in big trouble. I don't know about big trouble, but he definitely lost that round. I think he was just kind of running away, avoiding it. What do you think, my friend?
I think Pereira's going to fuck him up, to be honest, mate. And the reason is because I think that he's got so much athleticism and physicality upside that Fluffy's not going to be able to overcome that to get his game going. You know, Fluffy needs to basically close distance, grab you by the legs, body lock, push you up against the cage, wrestle you. It's not easy to do that against someone way more physical than you, way bigger than you, and way more athletic than you, and on way more steroids than you, from Brazil, which is the best country in the world for steroids. They have designer steroids out there, much better than what you can get in America. So even if Fluffy's on them, they're not the same level as Michel Pereira. And you just have to look at them to understand that. So, I mean, this guy's doing fucking 720 wheel kicks in the octagon. Like, I think Fluffy has to come through hell in the first 7.5 minutes. And yeah, look, if he does that, sweet, you know, he probably wins. But it's weird because simultaneously the early finish is massively underrated or massively overlooked in MMA betting lines, but then also sometimes it's massively what's the opposite to overlooked? It's massively looked at, right? So it really depends. I think
overrated.
Sometimes, yeah, some people massively overrate it, but then some people underrate it, and I think it just depends on the line. You know, because people will be like, oh, you know, Pereira, he's round 1 or 2 or bust, so he should be plus 200. But I don't think that's really the case, man. I think the finishing upside in round 1 and 2 can be so huge that you can actually be a favorite. Because it's just mathematics, right? If you make him 150, it means he wins 60% of the time. If you think he wins in the first round 70% of the time, then, you know, you could potentially make him minus 150 on the money line. So, yeah, I think that I think he's going to hurt Fluffy early. And that's it. There's not really much more to say, man. I just don't think Fluffy is going to overcome that athleticism and physicality gap. That's really what it comes down to. There's no point speaking about, oh, you know, Fluffy's not that, he drops his right hand on shots, or, you know, like Pereira's not that good in round 3. Like, we all know all of this. So at the end of the day, if Fluffy gets his game going, he's probably going to finish him late. If he doesn't get his game going, he's going to get finished early. He got finished by Perez early. He got finished by Holland early. And I think Pereira's a better earlier finisher than both of those guys. Perez was in round 2, yes, but I think that this probably comes in round 1. Pereira round 1 sub, it can get plus 2,300 on some books, plus 2,000 on Bet365, plus 1,600 on multiple other books. I'm not saying that it's, you know, it's a lot, but I think round 1 finish, I think KO is more likely. But if he gets hurt to the body, if he gets hurt to the head, he can definitely shoot in for something. And that front choke is super live. I think he's very good at it. I think, you know, round 1 sub is an insane price.
Well, I have to agree with everything, mate. That athleticism is the main reason. It's yeah, we've seen him finish, you know, a couple of dudes under 1.5, you know, Rodolfo, and well, that's probably the only one, and Jordan Wright, and then just back to back taking bums to round 3. You know, Josh Brown, Marc-Andre Barriel. Matt Barriel had a broken rib in round 1, and he still made it to round 3. Edmund Shabazian and Kopylov. You know, I was on Kopylov, but I think my ego didn't want to let me hedge live, even though that's what I wrote down, just because I thought he was winning round 2 as well, up until he wasn't. So it's like, oh man, this guy can stick and move for the next 3 rounds. And yeah, I think
Kopylov was hurting him. He was like half.
Yeah, constantly, almost every single combination, whether it was to the head or the body. Fluffy was like smiling at him, but he clearly hated it. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like blatant, like it wasn't super blatant, like he was wobbly. But if you know what you're looking at, like you can tell, like he was getting hurt. Like a couple of, you know, he could get knocked out in another day if they rematched there. And I bet Fluffy there, but if they fight tomorrow, it's not a guarantee, because people got a Fluffy minus 1,000 there after the fight. Yeah, obviously Kopylov was going to gas out. Man, I swear to God, the early round 1 or 2 KO from Kopylov is super live in that fight.
Oh man, yeah, that's probably the better way that I should have played it. But sometimes it's better just to not have to rely on live betting, especially in Australia when you have to call up. Just the sheer laziness of me doing that makes me not want to do it. Someone here said, Books will be on that live line. Well, you think so, but against Shabazian, I did the same thing. I played Shabazian and massive dog odds, and then I had the option to cash out Shabazian, and then I live bet Fluffy. And yeah, they were kind of not really on it, because Hernandez was losing everywhere. He was getting mounted. He was in a guillotine. He got mounted. It was just literally getting rinsed. This guy gets rinsed in every aspect of MMA until that person finally slows down. So I can easily see Pereira like throwing him up, you know, slamming him. Like, he's got a couple of rear naked chokes. He's got good jiu-jitsu, man. You can tell. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that sub as like a sneaky angle. Like, the guy goes for it. You said he was paying what, 2,000 on
2,000 on 365. I got 2,300 on some shitty book. It's also.
Oh, you're right, man. It is. That's a wild number. That has to be poked just for, you know, just for shits and gigs.
Yeah. Principle.
Yeah, well, we've seen it. We've literally seen Hernandez submitted him, and then we've seen Pereira submit his last 2 opponents in round 1. It's crazy. You would think there'll be some recency bias on that, but I guess not. Cool. Well, thanks everyone in the chat. Michel is 80% here, I think. Well, that's a big call, but I think he's 80% for about 5 minutes, and then this fight is going to narrow. I will give Fluffy credit. Even when he's constantly hurt, which is about every single fight, he never backs up. He just keeps coming forward. I think he knows that I'm in pain, but I have to keep this pressure on. That's the only way I'm going to win this fight. You know, so he's a proper homer. A lot of these guys get hurt, and then they back up so they can get a bit of a rest, but then he just gives their opponents a rest. So we'll see how I feel about this under, maybe under 2.5. It's not the worst juice line just yet.
Yeah, I've been thinking of it as well, but I've already bet Michel. I've bet Michel round 1. I bet Michel round 1 sub. Do I also want to play under 2.5? It's a bit risky, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Just depends on your confidence level. You probably, but the under 2.5 can cover your Fluffy sub, right?
Yeah, I honestly think that Fluffy has a good chance to also finish under 2.5 rounds, because a few people I spoke to like, oh yeah, but you're already overexposed on Michel. So if you play under 2.5 rounds, that's also more on Michel. I honestly don't think so. I genuinely think Fluffy can finish under 2.5 as well.
Yeah, that's the main reason I like it. It's on both ends. All right. Well, you mentioned you got a couple of bets. Shall we wrap it up? I don't have anything, but what I'm looking at, I'm kind of talking myself into that Robelis round 1. You know, when I realize how bad Lane is. Obviously, if he gives that takedown, you gives it up early, you can rip up that ticket. Jessica Penne sub, don't mind that. Katona, we'll have to look into that. Someone mentioned that fight's definitely going to be a 29-20-28, like all Katona fights.
Yeah,
might be time to go hit up those handicaps for the first time in a long time. Asu Pineda, I'm liking Pineda. I have to look into that one. Carla Phillips KO, we're gonna have to hit it right. And Pereira, I wrote down under 1.5. I wrote Pereira round 1, Pereira round 1 sub, and then we'll go from there, right? What do you got? You got anything that you're confident enough to give out to the big brain?
I might as well. Well, obviously the lock of the weekend is Marcus Breno at plus 475 against Ruffian Stotts. But outside of that, because that one's too easy. So outside of that, I might as well stick on Michel Pereira, man. I just made a big case for him. He's like one of the only money line bets I have. He's still plus money, still underdog, and he could, like Riding High says, he could look 90%. You know, like at least if he finishes him early. So yeah, I think I'll stick with Pereira round 1. Pereira money line.
Apparently, Sportsbet even has a better round 1 than Bet365, which is quite rare usually. That's a nice line. Yeah, just keep it simple, you know. And if you lose the money, it's not like having a whole unit on Pereira. You didn't get round 1 KO, then you live to fight another day. Look to live bet and make money on Fluffy. All right, thank you very much, my friend. You got anything to plug before you go out on a Friday night?
No, I'm just going out to get some food, man. I'm starving. No, not much, bro. Just, yeah, go on Twitter to find me, Lucrative James. I changed it to Lucrative James. I need to change this now. It's Lucrative MMA down here, but I need to change that.
Why'd you do that?
Yeah,
did you change your business name or what?
No, I just basically, I don't know, like Lucrative MMA, I just was posting photos of like, on Instagram, I was posting photos of like the fighters, and I've deleted most of them now, but I wanted it to be more me, not just the fighters. So
gotcha.
I just changed it to James. And now I can speak about more like, you know, random stuff that I want to, lifestyle stuff. I could just speak about random stuff. It's not just an MMA account speaking about like fucking traveling to Vegas, you know?
Like semen retention and whatnot, cold showers.
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing that for years, bro. I've been speaking about that for years. So it's a bit weird if like an MMA account speaks about it, you know? So I thought I'd change it to my name and then I can speak about whatever I want. Just growth, bro.
Yeah.
I'm saying always growth. Just always switching up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider myself a capper. My thing is more of a entrepreneur, you know? I gamble so I can have financial freedom, not because I'm an MMA capper, you know? But it's just something that helps on the side. So yeah, I understand that. I wonder what points bet round 1 is. But anyway, thanks, my friend. Like and subscribe, or you don't have to. It is what it is. And yeah, we'll catch up sometime, my friend.
You're not going to give no PFL for the people, bro. That's what they come here for.
I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow. So reason for them to tune in.
All right, keep it under lock and key for now. But yeah, Marcus Breno, it should be minus 500. I'm only joking. No, I'm not. Let's go.
Hey, that's first on the list to tape.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, see you, man.